Donald Trump has launched an astonishing barrage of criticism at Meghan Markle, admitting he's not a fan, accusing her of disrespecting and hurting the Queen and horribly manipulating Prince Harry to the extent that it has wrecked his relationship with his family. In an interview to be aired on GB News at 7 p.m. tonight, the former U.S. president claims the actions of both the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in recent years have caused pain to the monarch. The bombshell sit-down also touches on his presidential election defeat to Joe Biden, the subsequent Capitol Hill riots, Black Lives Matter and the migrant crisis in the US and the UK. He also blasts Boris Johnson for making a big mistake by trying to turn the UK into the Saudi Arabia of wind to cut emissions. Trump says turbines are horrible, ridiculous, kill all the birds and start to rust after a couple of years. Speaking with former UKIP leader Nigel Farage about the royal family and Meghan, Mr. Trump admits he has never been a fan of Meghan, who he believes has used Prince Harry. He said, "I'm not a fan of hers. IWASNT from day one. I think Harry has been used horribly and I think someday he will regret it. I think Harry's been used and been used terribly. I think it's ruined his relationship with his family, and it hurts the Queen." Speaking of the Duchess, he added, "I think Shush's been very disrespectful to the Queen, who's such a great woman, such a great person, a historic person. I think Shush's very disrespectful to the royal family and most importantly to the Queen." He also said that Meghan was very inappropriate when asked by Mr. Farage about claims she used her royal title to meddle in U.S. politics, by writing on the Sussexes' headed paper to lobby Congress members on issues such as paternity leave. "She is trying to do things that I think are very inappropriate," he said. In an extraordinary interview, Mr. Trump also revealed, Liberal Boris is making a big mistake backing ridiculous wind power plan for net zero. Donald Trump has warned Boris Johnson he is making a big mistake by backing ridiculous wind farms to drive the UK's push to a net zero carbon economy. The former U.S. president said he still liked the British Prime Minister but claimed that he was wrong to support renewable wind energy. The UK has become a world leader in wind energy, particularly offshore, and Mr. Johnson has pushed for Britain to become to wind what Saudi Arabia is to oil in the drive to reach net zero by 2050. Investment in the technology over the past decade or more has led to the world's largest wind farm, Hornsea 1, being built in the North Sea off the East Yorkshire coast. But Mr. Trump, in an interview with former Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage, said the UK was destroying its landscape by permitting the turbines to be installed. Speaking to Mr. Farage on GB News, the businessman, who owns golf courses in Scotland and Ireland, said, "H is wrong, Boris is wrong if HE's going heavy into wind." The former White House incumbent labeled wind power the most expensive form of energy. In comments made in Florida on Monday and due to be aired this week, Mr. Trump said, "I think wind is, I think it's ridiculous." The one-term president added, "Remember, every 10 years, you have to replace those monsters. And a lot of times they don't bother, you know what they do. They just let them rot. They kill all the birds, they are so bad." Despite the criticism, Mr. Trump, defeated by Joe Biden in last year's presidential election, said he was fond of the Prime Minister, who he suggested had become more liberal. "I like him, I get along with him, I've always gotten along with him," Mr. Trump said. "H has gone a little bit on the more liberal side, but I'll tell you with energy, I'm surprised that he would allow that to happen because you have one of the most beautiful countries in the world. And you're destroying it with all these wind turbines all over the place." Mr. Trump also spoke of his fondness for the Queen, claiming he was raised to have respect for the royal family because his mother was from Scotland. It is not the first time that Mr. Trump has clashed with the Sussexes. Earlier this year, he said he would campaign for the White House in 2024 if Meghan was joining the race. Mr. Trump was commenting on rumors that the Duchess was meeting with Democrat operatives, and she may want to run. He told Fox News, "I hope that happens because if that happened then I think it'd have an even stronger feeling towards running. I'm not a fan of hers. I've met with the Queen and I think the Queen is a tremendous person and I'm not a fan of Meghan." Last year he again said he was not a fan of Meghan and wished Harry luck, adding, "H's going to need it." Those comments, which were made in September, came after the Sussexes were accused of interfering in the presidential election campaign won by Joe Biden. In what was seen as a thinly veiled swipe at Mr. Trump, they urged voters to reject hate speech, misinformation and online negativity. In 2019, Mr. Trump called the Duchess nasty because of her past criticism of him. The new interview, recorded in Florida on Monday, will also see Mr. Trump speak on a range of subjects including the Capitol Hill riot in January and his impeachment trial for allegedly inciting it. The U.S. Senate later acquitted him. He will be asked about climate change and whether he will run for office again, having hinted early this year that he was very seriously considering it. The program, Farage, The Trump Interview, will air tonight at 7 p.m. on GB News, with the station promising that nothing is off limits. A preview clip with dramatic music shows the duo sitting opposite each other in a grand room with a short quote from Mr. Trump saying, "I think you'll be happy in the future too." The friendship between Mr. Farage and Mr. Trump goes back several years. Mr. Farage has said the men have much in common because Trump and I have probably been the most reviled people by the liberal media in the world. The pair have appeared together on stage before, with the former UKIP leader speaking at an election rally in Phoenix, Arizona, last October, where Mr. Trump hailed Mr. Farage as the King of Europe. They also held talks in November 2016 which saw Mr. Farage become the first UK politician to meet the US president following his election victory. Mr. Farage promoted the interview on his Twitter feed last night, telling his 1.6 million followers, "Don't miss it." Farage, The Trump Interview, airs at 7 p.m. on tonight on GB News, which is available on Freeview 235, Sky 515 and Virgin Media 626.